Beloved soul, welcome into this sacred and chosen moment. You did not arrive here by accident, and these words did not find you without divine purpose. Heaven itself has guided your steps to this message because the angels have something urgent and deeply personal to speak directly into your heart. There is something you must understand right now, something that was meant to bring clarity and peace, not confusion or fear. Somewhere beyond what your natural eyes can see, a heart that is spiritually connected to yours has just crossed a powerful threshold. There was no dramatic announcement, no loud confession, no sudden event that shook the ground beneath their feet. Just a quiet, profound, and life-changing inner decision that shifted the direction of everything that comes next. And beloved, that decision was about you. Right now, while your day may appear completely ordinary, while life moves around you in its usual rhythm, something extraordinary has already happened inside them. They have finally stopped wrestling against what they feel. They have stopped pretending that this connection means nothing, that you mean nothing, that what exists between you can simply be ignored or outgrown. The struggle is over. The resistance has broken, and what remains is truth. Before we go any further, I want you to move in faith right now. Take a moment and write in the comments, "I believe in God," or "I love God." This is not just a comment, it is a declaration of faith. When you speak these words, you open your spirit to receive the divine wisdom heaven is releasing over your life in this very moment. Faith is activated through declaration, and your declaration invites heaven to move on your behalf. And if this is your first time here, welcome to Angel's Whisper. This is a sacred space created for divine messages, angelic insight, and prophetic understanding. A place where truth meets the heart, and heaven speaks to souls who are ready to receive. I invite you to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and remain connected because every message shared in this space is designed to guide you closer to God's truth and God's perfect plan for your life. Beloved, the angels are speaking with urgency now. Even if you have endured a long season of silence that made you question everything, what changed today happened in a place where real truth cannot remain hidden forever. This quiet inner decision was not a passing thought or a momentary feeling. It was a soul-level shift, a turning of the tide, and it was truly and completely about you. You may soon begin to understand why certain names never fully leave your heart, even when time and distance say they should. You may begin to understand why this connection has lingered in your spirit long after the silence began. The next chapter of your story is much closer than your mind is currently allowing you to believe. So stay present, beloved. Do not turn away. What unfolds in this message will bring answers to questions your heart has been carrying for far too long. Write this in the comments as an act of faith. I am ready to receive what heaven has prepared for me. This declaration opens the door of your spirit to receive what God is releasing in this season. Beloved, these calm and invisible moments are precisely the moments that change everything. The most significant decisions in the human heart are rarely made loudly. They are made in silence, in solitude, in the quiet space between thought and surrender. And that is exactly where this person found themselves today. Far from the noise of the world, far from distraction and performance, a powerful choice was made in a heart connected to yours. No message was sent, no voice called your name. But the power of what shifted inside them is greater than any spoken word could ever be. It came after a long season of doubt, inner conflict, and an exhausting battle against their own emotions. They spent so much time trying to be reasonable, trying to be logical, trying to convince themselves that what they feel toward you is something they can simply walk away from or file under the category of bad timing. But some connections do not disappear simply because someone wills them to. Some bonds wait patiently beneath the surface of everyday life until the heart finally surrenders to what the soul has always known. And today, beloved, that surrender happened. They stopped running. They stopped rationalizing. They stopped pushing the truth away and finally allowed themselves to face it fully. Type this boldly in the comments as your agreement with heaven. What is meant for me will find me. Let this be your shield against impatience and doubt. You may wonder why certain people keep returning to your thoughts even when life has moved you in completely different directions. You may wonder why some connections feel unfinished no matter how much quiet time stretches between you. The angels want you to understand this clearly. It is because some bonds carry a weight that is older than memory, deeper than logic and stronger than perfect circumstances. These are not ordinary connections. They are soul-level assignments. This is why this person cannot completely release what they feel toward you. Something about your presence, your energy, the way you existed in their world, moved through them in a way that ordinary words were never able to fully capture or explain. They tried to minimize it. They tried to label it as confusion or poor timing or simple coincidence. They tried to make it smaller so it would be easier to release. But today, beloved, it became impossible to keep denying. Something inside them was forced to reckon with the truth of what you mean to them. And once that reckoning begins, it does not stop. Once real truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. Which is why the energy between you is shifting right now in a direction it will not reverse. Declare this now in the comments. I trust that what is real will always rise. This declaration anchors your heart in divine confidence rather than human fear. Even if nothing appears different on the surface yet, the angels want you to know that everything is already different beneath it. Their thoughts are becoming clearer. Their emotions are becoming harder to suppress. Their silence is growing heavier because it is no longer empty silence. It is full of things they are no longer at peace with keeping hidden. When a heart makes a true decision, life begins responding with confirmation. A sudden memory surfaces. A vivid dream carries your image. A song plays at an unexpected moment, and something in them immediately thinks of you. These signs may seem small from the outside, but they are part of a divine orchestration already unfolding beneath the visible surface of things. Soon, you may notice something too, something quiet and easy to overlook if you are not paying attention. But it will carry within it a message that confirms what has already shifted. And when it arrives, beloved, you will feel it immediately. Not because it is dramatic or overwhelming, but because something deep within your spirit will recognize it and say, "This is it. This is the moment." Comment in the section below right now. I feel the shift. Let this be your agreement that your spirit is awake and receiving what heaven is releasing over your life. Beloved, this path was never only about waiting. It was always about alignment, about the sacred moment when truth finally grows stronger than fear inside a human heart. So if something in your spirit has been quietly sensing that something is coming closer, trust that feeling completely. You are not imagining it. You are not creating it out of longing or wishful thinking. You are sensing a real and genuine change that has already begun inside them. After that first wave of honest recognition settled within them, a deeper understanding began to grow. It returned to them in their quiet moments, in the stillness before sleep, in the middle of an ordinary afternoon when nothing in particular prompted it. And every time it returned, it pointed in the same direction, toward you. They began to notice how often your name crossed their mind without invitation, how certain places carry memories of your presence, how the smallest and most unrelated things hold unexpected meaning when it comes to you. This is no longer simple curiosity or surface-level interest. This is a profound recognition of a bond that their soul refuses to release. Type this in the comments as a declaration of faith. My connection is real and it is moving in the right direction. Let heaven seal this truth over your life even now. But with recognition comes vulnerability. And vulnerability is precisely what they have spent so long protecting themselves from. They built distance because closeness felt dangerous. They built silence because honesty felt exposing. They built walls not to shut you out entirely, but to protect a heart that already knew how much you mattered and was terrified by that knowledge. Now those walls no longer feel like protection. They feel like prison. The distance they maintained no longer feels like wisdom. It feels like loss. And they know, beloved, they cannot remain in the same place forever, because their heart has already moved closer to you in the spirit, even while their actions have not yet caught up. This is why you may have been feeling something shift in the atmosphere between you, a pull in your chest, a sudden and unexplained sense of nearness. The angels confirm that what you are sensing is real. They are standing right now at the edge of a decision that will determine how this connection moves into the visible world. Declare this in the comments with confidence. I will not shrink from what heaven is aligning for me. This declaration positions your heart to receive with courage rather than fear. And what makes this moment so sacred, beloved, is that they are closer than they have ever been to choosing courage over comfort, honesty over safety, and forward movement over another season of retreat. But before they fully step toward you, there is something from their past that must be released, something unresolved that has quietly stood between them and the full surrender their heart is reaching for. Once that final barrier begins to lift, everything between you will be able to move with a speed and clarity that surpasses what either of you might expect. Not because of human effort or strategy, but because of divine timing releasing what has been held in reserve for exactly this appointed moment. Write this boldly in the comments. I trust God's timing in this connection. Let this declaration be your anchor when impatience begins to whisper that it is taking too long. The silence is already beginning to break open, beloved. The distance is already contracting. The truth you have always sensed deep in your spirit is beginning to take visible shape. And then comes the moment of surrender, not surrender to you as someone to pursue or chase, but surrender to the truth within themselves that has been waiting quietly and persistently to be fully acknowledged. In that moment of genuine surrender, the endless mental circles cease, the rotating excuses slow to a stop. The pretending that this connection is something simple or easily explained finally becomes too exhausting to maintain. And in the stillness that follows, a clear and undeniable understanding rises within them, a recognition that you were never simply another person passing through their life. You were a turning point, a mirror, a divine appointment that revealed things about themselves they were not yet ready to see at the beginning. Once that understanding takes root, it begins reshaping more than just their thoughts. It begins reshaping their daily choices, their intentions, their willingness to move toward honesty and vulnerability with a courage they have been slowly building through this entire season. Type this in the comments as your covenant with truth. I was never just an option. I was always a divine appointment. Let this truth silence every voice that has tried to make you feel like less than you are. And as this transformation unfolds within them, something is simultaneously being awakened within you. A deep bridge of spiritual alignment is being constructed between you, one that does not depend entirely on constant contact or physical proximity, one that exists in the realm of the soul, where real covenant is always first established before it is expressed in the natural world. Still, there is one final test standing between where things are and where they are meant to be. A moment where they must make a clear choice between stepping fully into this connection or allowing fear to write another chapter of retreat. That decision is closer than they realize, because life itself is already creating the circumstances, the conversations, and the encounters that are guiding them toward making it. Beloved, when that choice is finally made, you will not need to decode hidden signals or read between careful lines. The energy you receive from them will feel different, cleaner, steadier, more certain than anything you have felt from them before. And it will arrive in a way that changes the entire landscape of what exists between you. Declare this powerfully in the comments. I will recognize my moment when it arrives because God will make it clear. Let this declaration protect you from missing what heaven is sending because of fear or unbelief. When this truth comes, beloved, it may not announce itself with fanfare or dramatic gesture. It may come through something simple. A message, a phone call, a few honest words spoken quietly. But beneath those simple words you will feel something entirely unmistakable, something real, something from the depth of a heart that has finally stopped hiding. And when that moment arrives, so much of what has felt painful or confusing about this journey will suddenly make complete sense. The silence will no longer feel like abandonment. The distance will no longer feel like rejection. Because you will understand that both were necessary. Both were part of the process of two souls growing into the version of themselves capable of holding what God has been preparing for them. Type this in the comments as your declaration of understanding. Everything that felt like delay was actually divine preparation. Let this truth replace every wound that the waiting season left in your heart. Their words may tremble, beloved. They may pause as they search for the right way to express what has been living inside them. And that trembling is not weakness. It is authenticity. It is the evidence that what they are offering you is genuine and human and completely unperformed. As they speak, something within you will recognize what you are hearing before the full meaning even settles in your mind, because your spirit will confirm what your heart always sensed. This was never one-sided. It was always alive on both sides, even in the seasons when proof was absent. In that moment, old pain begins to loosen its grip. Old questions begin to lose their urgency. The wounds that the silence created begin to find their healing. and something extraordinary opens up before you both. But beloved, hear this clearly. A crucial choice then rises before you that belongs entirely to you. Because this is not only about them choosing you, this is about you choosing what you allow next. Will you respond from old wounds and past fear? Or will you meet this new moment with the openness and wisdom that this entire season has been building within you? Your answer carries equal weight in what unfolds. The future is not only in their hands, it is equally in yours. Declare this in the comments with courage. I will meet this moment with wisdom, not wounds. This is your agreement with heaven that you are ready to receive with a whole and open heart. Deep within your quietest moments, you already know what you truly want from this connection. The question is whether you will choose it fully or protect yourself into distance once again. A profound connection like this cannot be carried halfway. It cannot grow through constant guardedness or perpetual half measures. It asks for the same courage from you that it asked from them. This is not a call to abandon your wisdom or ignore your discernment. It is an invitation to step into a space cleared of old versions, old stories, and old patterns of pain. A space where something genuinely new can be built. A way of relating that is honest and present and free from the weight of everything that came before. Beloved, write this in the comments as your declaration of new beginnings. I step into this new chapter healed, whole, and ready. Let this seal your heart with the courage heaven is asking you to carry. Remember what the angels want you to know. This connection is not only a romance. It is a mirror reflecting the depth of your own heart, the strength of your capacity to love, and your growing ability to receive love without losing yourself in the process. As this moment unfolds, your own inner world deserves your full attention. Because the choice ahead of you will shape far more than just this relationship. It will shape the next chapter of your entire life. When both of you finally stop treating this connection as a mystery to be solved and begin seeing it as a life to be built together, the energy changes. It becomes calmer, more grounded, more certain. A profound stillness settles over everything. The kind of deep certainty that arrives only after long inner storms have finally passed. Inside that stillness, you will see them differently, not as the person who confused you or stayed silent too long, but as someone who walked through their own darkness to arrive at greater awareness. And just as importantly, beloved, you will see yourself differently, stronger, wiser, more deeply connected to what your heart genuinely needs. Type this in the comments as a declaration of transformation. I have grown through this season, and I am ready for what comes next. Let this be your agreement that the waiting was not wasted, but was always working something beautiful within you. You will understand, perhaps for the first time with complete clarity, that this journey was never only about longing for another person. It was about becoming a more complete and grounded version of yourself. If this connection had come earlier, before the growth and before the healing, the truth might easily have slipped through both of your hands. But now there is something different present, a balanced understanding, a quiet readiness on both sides that was not there before. From this more grounded space, a rare and genuine trust begins to form. Not built on promises made in moments of emotion, but on steady consistency and the quiet alignment of words and actions over time. And as that trust deepens, something extraordinary begins to take shape between you. A sense of home, a feeling of being completely safe and truly seen without the exhausting need to perform or pretend. This is what every human heart is truly searching for. Not merely excitement or intensity, but a deep and lasting understanding. The kind that remains when all the excitement has settled. The kind that grows more beautiful and more certain with time, rather than less. Beloved, seal this truth in the comments right now. I deserve love that brings peace, not just passion. Let this declaration establish the standard heaven has already set for your life. Stay present with this feeling as the waiting season ends, because you are stepping into a truth that both of you deserve. Not only attraction, but emotional safety. Not only connection, but the peace that remains steady through every season of life. And when love begins to root itself this deeply, the urgency that once drove you begins to soften. The panic begins to quiet. The need to question every small sign and analyze every silence begins to fade. Because what is genuine does not require constant questioning to survive. It carries within itself a clarity that speaks louder than any doubt. And yet there is one gentle and important truth the angels continue to whisper over this moment. This journey is not about holding on through fear. It is about choosing one another again and again in freedom, in full awareness, without losing yourselves in the process. The strongest and most lasting bonds are not the ones that demand everything at once in a rush of intensity. They are the ones built steadily, honestly, and patiently, with room for both souls to breathe and to grow individually, even as they grow together. This is why what comes next between you is bigger than reunion. It is the creation of something entirely new, something that has never existed between you before in quite this form. Because you are both different now. Growth happened quietly in the silence. Healing moved through the distance. Wisdom was gathered in the waiting. And the versions of both of you standing here today are more capable than ever of carrying what once felt too heavy to hold. Type this powerfully in the comments. I am not who I was. I am ready for the love God prepared for me. This declaration seals your transformation in the spiritual realm and invites heaven to confirm what has already been written over your life. Old fears may still whisper at times, beloved. Old patterns do not disappear in a single moment. Doubt may occasionally visit. Misunderstandings may still arise. But when those moments come, a deeper choice will appear before you. Will you react from the person you used to be? Or will you respond from the person this entire season has made you? Because you are not the same. You carry awareness now. You carry lessons that could only have been learned through exactly what you have walked through. And as both of you move forward together, something increasingly beautiful begins to emerge. A rhythm, a quiet and unforced harmony. A way of understanding one another that does not always require many words. A steadiness where presence itself communicates more than grand promises ever could. Beloved, hear this deeper truth that the angels are whispering beneath everything else in this message. This connection did not arrive in your life to complete you. It arrived to reveal you, to show you the extraordinary depth of your own heart, to show you the genuine strength of your patience, to show you that you are capable of loving with truth and integrity instead of fear and need. And once you truly see that about yourself, something changes within you that can never be reversed. You stop gripping outcomes so tightly. You stop fearing loss in the old and exhausting way. You begin to understand at a level deeper than thought that what is truly aligned with your destiny does not need to be forced into staying. It remains because it is real, because it is rooted in something that outlasts every season and every storm. Write this in the comments as your declaration of peace. I release the grip of fear and I trust what is truly mine. This is your agreement with heaven that you are done striving and ready to receive. Real connection grows quietly, beloved, patiently, without demanding to be noticed or understood on a timeline. It survives silence. It survives distance. It survives the long and uncertain seasons because it is rooted in something far deeper than surface attraction or temporary intensity. That is why this bond kept returning to your awareness, not to haunt you or to wound you, but to teach you, to refine you, to call you higher into a version of love that is sustainable and sacred and real. And perhaps the most important lesson of all is this: real love is not always loud. It does not always arrive with thunder and urgency. Sometimes it enters like peace enters a room that has been long troubled, quietly, gently, with a certainty that the soul recognizes before the mind can name it. There is something sacred and irreplaceable about being fully seen by another human soul and still being chosen, not for your perfection, not for your performance, but for your truth. This connection has been guiding both of you toward exactly that kind of love, in ways that were quiet and unseen, in ways that felt like loss but were actually growth, in ways that felt like ending but were always preparation for a greater beginning. Beloved, if this message is resonating in the deep places of your heart, take a moment to like this message so that other souls who are walking through this same season can receive it as well. And if you are not yet part of the Angels Whisper family, subscribe now and turn on your notifications so that every divine message reaches you the moment it is released. Seal this sacred moment with a bold declaration in the comments. Blessed and ready, because beloved, you are blessed and you are ready. The waiting is ending. The truth is rising, and what heaven has written for your life is already finding its way to you. Old doubts may occasionally whisper. Past fears may briefly return. but they no longer carry the authority over your life that they once did, because you have changed, because you have grown, because the version of you standing here right now is wiser, stronger, and more grounded in truth than the version that entered this season. You carry awareness now, beloved, and awareness changes everything about how love is given and received. It teaches you to speak what is true instead of disappearing into silence. It teaches you to remain through difficulty instead of running from discomfort. It teaches you to express what is real instead of hiding behind walls that were never meant to be permanent. The energy opening before you now is not built on wishful thinking or emotional fantasy. It is built on genuine mutual growth and conscious choice. And this is exactly what allows two people not only to come together, but to remain together in truth and in peace. Every day ahead of you becomes a living invitation to choose honesty above silence, patience above reaction, and understanding above assumption. Type in the comments right now, I choose conscious love. I choose peace over fear.